The new Tenosian update, it plays great. Like, I've been very, very upbeat about it. If you watched my impressions video or you've been in my Twitch stream, I haven't been able to say enough good things about just how fun the test was. However, along with the new content comes patch 2.5.0, which does have some pretty extensive patch notes with changes to either in-game cues or gameplay elements. And in today's video, we're gonna unpack and take a look at some of the bigger changes coming to Chivalry 2. Remember, the only way to become an angel is by subscribing. Now, update 2.5.0 comes with a bunch of highlighted features, so let's start with the first one on the list, Steam release. Yes, we all hate Epic Games and we love Steam, so finally we'll have the chance to launch our game from the Steam client. However, if you want to do that, for now, you'll have to repurchase the game, so no, you cannot transfer the game over from Epic Games at this point in time. Now, Torn Banner has said you will be able to transfer account information at some point. However, I would be skeptical about them meeting the summer timeline on this. The big deal with Steam release is that Chivalry 2 has not had much or the best marketing. There are just hundreds of thousands of PC gamers who've never heard of the game, and they'll see Chivalry 2 pop up on their Steam main page, and I fully expect Chiv to be on the top sellers list, meaning Christmas is early and there will be fresh noobs to slaughter. Please keep in mind, while we all love to slap lobbies around, rolling in a party of 10 chads team swapping to attack to roll complete beginners is about the lamest thing you can do, so stick to your assigned team, boys. I think we'll see a massive influx of new players, and I'm really hoping to see a ton of new angels joining up in the Discord and over on Twitch. The big question is always, how long will casuals stick to the game, since it requires more practice and knowledge than, say, something like Call of Duty. Next up, of course, we have the new content. I'll put my impressions video on the end screen and in the description, but we have 4 new maps and horses coming to Chivalry, along with the Desert Tenosian faction, and as I said in the intro, the new content is amazing. The maps are Torn Banner standard of immersive and incredibly detailed, and the horse implementation is much, much better and more complex than, say, Mordhouse. Now, the topic of maps lets me segue into how your main quick play matchmaking screen will look differently with the new cues. And these changes right here are just, they're a complete head scratcher to me. They make 0 sense, and I honestly think they'll have an impact on the health of the game. So traditionally, we have the flagship mode 64-player team objective, and then we also have 40-player team objective mixed with LTS, which kills both of these modes. I hate that they do that. And of course, free-for-all. We'll now have 64 players traditional team objective, which does not include any of the new content. We'll have a new 52-player team objective queue that only includes the new content, and then we'll have a 40-player team objective mode that includes both the new and old content. I hope you guys could follow that and see how 3 team objective queues on the main screen makes no sense. So the rationale here, according to the patch notes, is that the new maps run so dogshit on last generation consoles that those players cannot play them in 64-player mode. So they dialed it back and landed on 52 players. I don't see why they wouldn't just change 64-player team objective into 52-player mode until they fix the performance. Honestly, I doubt most players would even notice the difference. And now you'll have this weird situation where the player base is being split between multiple playlists for the same exact mode, and this does nothing to change how the traditional 64-player map list has become a bit dry. Now, the patch notes said nothing about finally removing LTS from 40-player, so I'm assuming it's still there, which to me ruins that playlist, since I would rather not play the game than play LTS. Some people like it. I think the mode stinks, but I would definitely migrate to that 40-player mode, especially with the new content in it. Now, perhaps the biggest travesty of the patch is all these team objective queues means they're removing the free-for-all queue from the front page, meaning you need to use the server browser if you want to play free-for-all, and we all know the server browser is where modes go to die. I play a good amount of free-for-all, and I know there's a pretty committed community. It's one of the best places to practice your combat mechanics, but this is gonna just kill the mode. So I'm really disappointed about this. I'm hoping things get figured out pretty quickly because, as I said above, I just don't see how 3 team objective queues makes any sense. Now, on the topic of server browsers, console players rejoice as you now have access to the server browser, which for many means they can join the more competitive dual servers, and perhaps we will see a few console players enter some of the competitive tournaments. I know there's a controller player in my community who I think would do rather well in those, and I'm really excited for you guys to get in there and scrap. Team swapping and team stacking is one of the biggest issues in the game right now, and there will be some slight adjustments. Auto balance will now start at the beginning of the match, I believe, to ensure that the game doesn't start with a 5 attacker advantage, and there can only be a difference of 2 players between the teams. We're taking baby steps here. I'm more of the nuclear option of completely disabling team swapping, but I'll take it as a start. While team stacking is an issue, map balance is also one, and for some reason the 40-player and 64-player queues were balanced the same, which again, it doesn't make sense. Well, Coxwell is coming back along with some map adjustments and balance changes to make it more winnable in 64 on defense and less defensible in 40-player. Several other maps received bug fixes and minor adjustments. Now, on weapon adjustments, rejoice as the crossbow has seen a nerf. While I would like to say this is because Torn Banner agrees rewarding low skill, high damage mechanics is always a bad idea, I really think they did this so that the heavy crossbow has more of a place in the game when it releases. Damage is down from 65 to 50. If you want to shoot stuff, go play an FPS game, Archer mains. The one-handed Warhammer has also seen a nerf in damage to both its slash and overheads, while also being slowed down just a tad on its overheads. I think the mindset here is that the Warhammer, it did two-handed damage with one-handed speed and could just absolutely destroy knights. We'll see how viable the weapon still is once the patch drops. Now, there was a mass nerf to special attacks, specifically their turn caps, meaning how far you can drag your attack to the side after you launch it. Turn caps have been tightened on all one-handed and two-handed special attacks. Again, I'm unsure if this was necessary or not. We'll see how it plays out. The devs also adjusted the turn caps on the stab attacks of a number of weapons, once again tightening them so it's harder to drag to dodging or multiple enemies. These weapons are the Greatsword, Highland Sword, Messer, both spears, and the lance. I get the feeling that this was not the Highland Sword nerf that the Reddit criers had in mind. So that brings us to the end of our patch notes. I'll see you guys in game for the Tenosian update. 1 week left, Angels. Champ out.